Good evening, everybody. My name is Crystal. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Good evening. It's Thursday evening. I'm here in my flat in Rochester by myself. It is 25 to 8. I'm expecting a Morrison's delivery. I originally planned the Morrison's delivery to be delivered between, I think it was like 2 and 6, but that's before I decided to go and visit my mum. So last night I changed the delivery slot to between 6 and 11, and I've had an update that my shopping will be delivered later on. So I needed to take Max out for a walk. Now it's a good job I haven't felt depressed all day. I haven't, because I've been round to see my mum and I've spoken to somebody. But I do suffer from severe depression, and I live by myself, and being constantly bullied and picked on for what I look like, which is childish, it is seriously childish, is not only making me feel horrible, I'm feeling fed up. And I'm an older woman anyway, and when you get to my age, honestly, you don't worry about what you look like. You're glad you get up in the morning and you can get up out of bed, believe you me. A lot of this bullying is coming from younger people. I think some young people think once you reach the age of 30 you need to just give up, on life. But I think you can have fun at any age. I think you can do what you want at any age. And why should I feel like a rusty old car dumped in a shed when I've still got a lot of life left in me? So I went up to see my mum today, and my mum did not come out to pay the taxi driver. The Chinese driver parked outside number 28. And obviously my mum doesn't live at number 28. But because my mum's neighbour's car was coming towards the taxi, the driver left me outside number 28. So I got out of the taxi and I walked up towards my mum's flat, and one of her neighbours was coming out that way, and she got into her car, and I went up to my mum's. I'd given the taxi driver £11, I believe. It was a lot cheaper going up to my mum's than it was coming back. So I went into my mum's, and I felt like I felt the one Christmas where I walked home in -2 or 3 conditions. So I walked into my mum's. I wasn't miserable, I just felt deflated. I'd brought my mum up some flowers. I had every intention of having a happy time round my mum's. But I got into my mum's and I wasn't as happy as I should have been. My mum was dressed in a cardigan, a t-shirt, and she had a cardigan, a great long grey cardigan over top, and her jeans that are rolled up at the bottom, and her black soft shoes. And I had the feeling that something was on my mum's mind, and that she was worried about something. And I thought, was she worried about the takeaway? Is it the takeaway? Does she not want me to eat the takeaway? So there was a few hiccups to start with, and then I did stay. I was going to go home because I thought there was something upsetting my mum. But with the elderly, you've got to have patience. With people with dementia, Alzheimer's, or someone that's got mental health illness, you've got to be patient. And I was determined not to get cross and upset whatever was said to me, and I didn't. I bore with it, and gave my mum the flowers. My mum put them in the kettle, My mum's neighbour had gone out in a green car, and I was left alone with my mother for 4 or 5 hours. My mum was a bit upset to start with, but the situation was calmed down, and my mum gave me a super pizza leaflet. So my mum had already given me a leaflet and told me to write down what I wanted, so I did. When I went up to my mum's last week, there was none of her neighbours were hovering about. None of them. I didn't see one of them. No. So I had the feeling that someone knew I was going up there, because I felt like they were ready for me, if you know what I mean. I felt like someone was expecting me. I didn't see Charlotte. Nobody rang the phone. My mum said to me that her worker was supposed to see her, Jennifer, on Monday, and no one had turned up. At least there wasn't breadcrumbs in the garden. Last time I went up to see my mum, one of her neighbours had thrown crumbs of bread in the garden. I saw my mum eat a whole plate full of chips, so I know that she's eaten. So we chatted about a lot of things. I found out some things my mum told me that I never actually knew. And if people were listening to private conversations and they thought it was and funny, they shouldn't be listening into people's private conversations. Because, I mean, I wouldn't want to hear other people's personal information. It certainly, you know, I think that's disgusting. If someone's listening into people's private conversations, it's against someone's privacy, and it's disgusting. Right? My mum's curtain across her kitchen was drawn right over, so no one could see in at all. My mum had yesterday's Mail newspaper, which I went out and got last night here at the Co-op in Rochester, so she had a copy of the Mail, and again I was accused of copying my mother. And it's my YouTube channel. It's mine, Crystal's YouTube channel. My mum is nearly 80 and she doesn't have a YouTube channel. And I got accused of trying to be my mother again. And when I'm not in my 70s, I mean, why should I have to live like an old lady? I've got no company. I've had no physical contact with anybody for 8 years, and I'm trapped in a dungeon, because someone's committing fraud? Is there someone out there committing fraud? And that's why every time I try and come out of my flat, somebody tries to stop me leaving my flat. It's either a dog barking, someone swearing, or someone's near my front door. Every time I try and get out. My mum believes that someone's coming into her flat when she's asleep. My mum does. She says there's things going missing, and someone's stealing her paperwork and using it as ID. So I don't know what she's talking about there. Someone's coming into my mum's flat, stealing her utility bills and using them as ID. When I came back into my flat this afternoon from visiting my mum, the living room looked like it had been tipped upside down, and I put it down to the cats having a fight with each other. I've never come back and seen my flat in that state. There was cushions and covers off my settee on the floor. There was a cover where Max sits on the floor. There was CDs and DVDs that I have not watched on my floor. So what is my mum trying to sell me? Someone coming into my flat and stealing my property. When I go up to my mum's, I take all my cards. I take my Sainsbury's card, my Co-op card, my bank card, anything that somebody could use to buy things with, I take with me. Obviously, I haven't been writing the diary, so they can't go down the diary and read what nasty things have been happening to me, because I haven't been writing it. But they probably sit in the flat and have a good old laugh. Nobody helps, they just laugh. We had the takeaway. Last week, the takeaway driver was all over my mother. He was laughing and he was all over my mum. This week, the driver hardly spoke to my mother. I handed her the takeaway and just went. Last week, he was all over her. I sat and ate the takeaway. My mum had her chips. Because there's no television to watch and there's nothing to really do, we were just sat there talking. And my mum just told me things I never even knew about herself and her mother. My mum gave me that Pro Clean duster. I've been back home. I had a couple of cups of coffee and I started getting picked on again. I went out the back of the flats and the woman at the side let her dog bark at me. Woof, 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 woof. I walked up towards the field and there was a man sat down by Costa Coffee on the floor. There was a man stood up opposite the Rochester Riverside office. I'm not going out to the Co-op this evening because my mum has given me enough food to last for a couple of days, and I've got a home delivery coming. But I know exactly what the Pro means in the Pro duster. I'm never going to have a relationship because I'm being used. And it all stems from coming down in 2008 to flee domestic violence and what was going on up there. It's got to be an ex-partner that's obviously manipulating my mother. It's got to be. I have to sit in this flat night after night, day after day by myself. And the reason I've been going out in a coat like that is because I don't want to encourage that sort of behaviour. So this is my life. I've got to be by myself. My dad, you know what my father was doing, don't you? He was dragging me about and I was being sexually abused in different places. And certain people knew what he was doing. And he wasn't sexually abusing his wife, he was sexually abusing his daughter. So I think someone's trying to hide my mother away. I don't know what's going on, but why should I have to keep living in this prison and be punished for what my father did to me? And to some people it probably is but how do you think that I feel when it was actually being done to me with people watching? Grown adults letting my father abuse me and get away with it. And as for the police, we know how useless they are. They're not even bothering ringing up. So I've just gone out with Max in the pitch black, walked around the field all by myself in the pitch black, being barked at and ugh. Well, they don't show their faces in the dark and you can't see them. So I can't return the favour because I can't see their face. They hide behind hoods and behind their doors and let their dogs bark at me. So I've got a wonderful dog, a wonderful cat, and my mum's okay. And we just carry on. And if I move and I don't tell people where it is and it starts happening again, you know there's something funny going on, don't you? I've seen people, right, in couples. I've seen disabled couples, I've seen mixed race couples, I've seen fat and thin couples, I've seen young blokes with older women, I've seen older men with young women. I mean, there is nothing wrong with me. Someone needs to own up. I think it's fraud. I honestly think it's fraud. The way my mum keeps talking about someone going into her flat, stealing her paperwork and whatever, there's something's going on, definitely. And I think she's trying to tell me in a roundabout way without saying it's happening to me. Well, I'm going to get on with the rest of my evening. I'm a grown adult. I don't need to live with my mummy, and it would be nice to eventually be treated like an adult. See you later.